they had led celebrated the harvest together. They felt safe in the assurance of the agreement between them. But Massasoit's alliance with the Plymouth colonists would only last for a single generation. By 1640, the political situation in New England had changed. In 1630, the population of Plymouth colony was 300. By the end of the decade, it was close to 2,000. Demand for land led to disputes among the colonists and between colonists and native people. Tensions arose that lasted for decades and still linger today. After the 1637 massacre of Pequot at Mystic Fort, New England's native people began to form broader alliances. In 1675, Massasoit's son, Metacom, also called Philip, rallied people from many native nations in an attempt to drive the English out of native homelands. During King Philip's War, many English and Wampanoag died. English settlements were burned. Native captives were sold into slavery in the West Indies. By the war's end in 1676, Metacom had been killed and his 9-year-old son enslaved. The Wampanoag had lost their political independence and much of their homeland. The town of Plymouth declared a special day of thanksgiving for the English victory. Considering this history and what came in later centuries, Native people do not share in the popular reverence for the traditional New England Thanksgiving. To the Wampanoag, the holiday is a reminder of the arrival of the English in their homeland, a present that brought betrayal and bloodshed. Since 1970, many Native people have gathered at the statue of Massasoit in Plymouth, Massachusetts, each Thanksgiving Day. They keep a vigil in memory of the struggles of their ancestors and the strength of the Wampanoag persistence. Bringing the past to life. In the 20th century, people have begun to re-examine American history. Efforts have been made to think in new ways about how we became the nation that we are today. This means that many untold stories are now coming to light. One of these is the story of the harvest at Plymouth in 1621. In October 2000, several hundred people gathered at the modern-day Plymouth Plantation Museum to reenact the 1621 harvest gathering. For 3 days, photographers, advisors, Plymouth Plantation staff, and members of the Wampanoag Nation and other Native communities came together to depict the events of that time. This event, a first in the history of the museum, turned out to be a powerful gathering. In preparations for the weekend, 6 Native artisans worked with deerskin, furs, beads, bone shell, feathers, and other natural materials to handcraft traditional decorated garments for the Native participants to wear. Many local Wampanoag people proudly wore these garments in memory of their ancestors and in honor of all their relatives who are still here, living in Wampanoag territory. In the end, over 100 Wampanoag and other Native people participated in the event, including more than 90 Native men. The Wampanoag people and those from other Native nations who assisted them felt an enormous sense of pride in seeing their community acknowledged, celebrated, and portrayed so respectfully and so beautifully. The Wampanoag Indian Program at Plymouth Plantation has become a gathering place where Wampanoag artisans, scholars, performers, and educators actively work to recover and interpret the history and culture of their ancestors. The Wampanoag Indian Program has brought back many crafts and skills that have not been practiced for a century or longer. Historians reinterpret the documents, artifacts, and oral histories about the early days of the colony in an effort to replace popular myths with accurate history. A museum that started as a place to commemorate the Pilgrims has become a place where the understanding of history is being corrected to include all perspectives of the past. The photographs that appear in this book show some of the people who worked together to make that history come to life. Okay. And then they show a chronology, which is wonderful. So I will tell you that okay. So I wasn't going to show this part because I'm such a baby all the time. Can't talk yet. Hold on. As an empath, that's always really hard for me. And I so want the Thanksgiving tradition thing to be real, but it's not. Now, we can celebrate. I'm not saying we shouldn't be celebrating. But I light a special candle to the Wampanoag people and tell more of the true history so that we know what we are celebrating. Because, yes, it's a celebration. It was a good thing that they came together, but first of all, they scared the shit out of the Wampanoag people. And then they came with 90 men to say, hey, what the hell are you doing? And realized that they were just being idiots and celebrating like they are. So, you know, there has to be a more accurate representation. So think about that in your Thanksgiving celebrations. I'm very happy. My boys are coming home. We're going to have a very nice dinner. I am going to anoint a special candle, though, and tell the story of the Wampanoag people that we did so many wrong things to. But I hope you all have a blessed Thanksgiving, really. I didn't mean this to be a downer thing. I'm sorry. And be safe and be happy.